Hi everyone, Kendall here, once again with week 10 of our Grandma's Kitchen Sew-along, which is hosted by Pat Sloan at her website, ilovetomakequilts.com. If you haven't done so already, jump over to Pat's website, download this week's free pattern, come back here, and... yeah, alright, I'll show you how I do it. So here we are once again at the cutting mat with everything cut out as per Pat's free pattern, which, as I mentioned in the intro, is available at her website, ilovetomakequilts.com. Look under current projects, pick Grandma's Kitchen and scroll down to the pictures of each block. Click on that and you shall have your pattern. If you click on anything else and get some advertising, or it asks for credit card details, you have clicked something incorrectly. So go back and try again. This has been a public service announcement. Alrighty, so for this block today, we just need to make some rather large half square triangles and then put a sew and flip on them. So we're going to begin by making those half square triangles, and to do that, we will draw a diagonal line on the wrong side of our background fabric or our light fabric. We'll match that up right sides together with our print or medium fabric, I think it's called, or dark, I don't know. The square that's the same size. Take that to the machine. We're going to stitch 1/4 inch on each side of that drawn line. Once that's done, I do like to give it a press to settle those stitches down or set the stitches and release any tension that may have been caused by sewing across the bias. Once we've given that a press, we will cut them in half on that drawn line and then press 2 of them towards the background fabric and 2 of them towards our print fabric. And this is for when we get to a later step, and it will allow us to nest our seams when sewing our half square triangles together. So press 2 towards the print fabric and 2 towards the background fabric. Because these half square triangle units are a bit larger than we normally deal with, I am going to trim them down individually rather than 2 at a time, and I got very close with my seam allowance and I'm not actually trimming all that much off, but we need to trim these down to 6.5 inches unfinished before proceeding. And after I do this first one and very naughtily cut towards myself, I do grab my rotating mat, as I've got the perfect size ruler here, and so I've just placed the 45-degree line from that ruler along our seam line, making sure that there is enough fabric outside the trim down measurement, which, because we're coming so close, I did have exactly that. Trim the first 2 sides, and then we normally rotate it around and trim the last 2 sides. Once I bring the rotating mat in, however, I just spin that around rather than the block itself, and I do all 4 sides at once. With our half square triangle units made, we now need to put a sew and flip of our contrast fabric on the tip of the print side of our half square triangles, as you can see me doing here. And to do this, I am going to first of all grab the folded corner clipper tool. I love this tool, and anyone that has seen any of my videos would know that I do use it all the time. The method for using this is to line up your smaller square, making sure all of your edges are even, and then you use the measurements that are on the tool to line everything up nice and square, and then you slice away that fabric before taking it to the machine and stitching your 1/4 inch. Alternately, if you do not have the folded corner clipper tool, and I don't know why you wouldn't, it is the best tool ever, link in the description box below. You can use any ruler that has the 1/4 inch line on it, and let's face it, most of our rulers do, and then you just line that 1/4 inch up corner to corner. This method can be a little bit more risky in that you haven't got all the other markings that you're lining up to ensure that it's square, but so long as you have lined your fabric up perfectly on that corner, and when you trim these down, that corner was perfect right angles, everything will be just fine. Another thing that you can do if you don't have the 1/4 inch mark and you don't have the folded corner clipper tool is on the 6.5 by 12.5 creative grids ruler, or any ruler of a particular size, you'll find the 45-degree lines, and they intersect at a point on the side here. Now, you can line up those points as you see me doing here along the bottom of your square and down that lower right hand side of the larger piece, and then you'll see the little triangle over to the right hand side there just sits perfectly on the edge, and this also puts that 1/4 inch line perfectly from corner to corner, so you could just use that 1/4 inch line. But if you're wanting to make sure and line it up a little bit more square, you can use those 45-degree lines to allow you to do that. There is always, of course, the traditional sew and flip method where you draw the line and stitch either on the line or just to the right of it, fold it over, check for squareness. If it's fine, cut your back 2 layers. But as I said, I love my folded corner clipper tool, and as you would know from all of my videos, it is the tool I use 100% of the time. Now that we have our sew and flip corners attached, we'll separate these into the 2 piles to make sure that we press our sew and flips in the same direction that we pressed our half square triangle units. And that is either towards that background fabric or towards the actual sew and flip corner. And you'll know from looking at your pieces the same way I just have here, which direction that you need to press it. Now again, this is important because at the next step, when we go to sew this together, having your seam allowances pressed in these opposing directions means that all of our inner sections will nest. So we are now ready to stitch these together, so just create your 2 piles of the 2 blocks with the pressing in those opposite directions, and you'll find everything nests nicely. Just pin at those intersections to make sure that nothing shifts when you take it over to the machine, and stitch your 1/4 inch. We are going to press these seams open, and that's just to relieve a little bit of the bulk. If you don't want to press open, that's fine. Then once we've got both of these units done, we will do our horizontal seam and once again press that open, or in whichever method you prefer. And as easy as that, your block for this week is done. Okay, that's it for another week, folks, of our Grandma's Kitchen Sew Along. Hopefully you got something useful out of the block. If you did, leave me a comment below to let me know. If you've liked what you've seen today, I'd love if you would like the video, share it with a friend that you think may be interested, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and tickle that little bell icon and you'll be notified of all my future releases. I'll see you all again next week. Bye for now.